You have to get consistency. Say at 7 o'clock every morning, I'm going to have a video, whether it's me talking about what I have going on that day, and then another video at the end of the day of what your day consisted of, what you did. And throughout the day, maybe a couple of stories, post a couple of showings of whatever you're doing. I mean, people want to, in order for people to, think you're relevant, I guess, in their space that they're interested in, they need to see you. So if they're not seeing you on a consistent basis, you're just going to be another fly-by-night realtor, attorney, accountant, whatever the case is. But if you're like, people are accustomed to seeing in the morning and the evening, and maybe they'll see that same post throughout the day, that shows validation of what you're doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here live with Joe Bograd. Now, Joe, #1 team in Pennsylvania. You're also a broker in New Jersey and Florida, so you've really got a wide range, geographically speaking, that you actually service. Instagram, you have over 20,000 followers, 22,000 to be exact, 12,500 subscribers on YouTube. The videos that you're posting across platforms are consistently reaching over 100,000 views. And what I love about your content is the rawness and the authenticity of it. And it's not kind of well scripted, well thought out, like problem solution based content. It's just, here's my life, here's what I do. And I've seen videos, I think even the first video that I saw of yours, which is something that captivated me, was a conversation between you and your client where it was, you just updated them. And it wasn't like, I got $50,000 over asking her. If it wasn't like, and here's how I kind of jumped through hoops. It was just a conversation where you updated them and they said thanks, and you said, okay, see ya, and you hung up. And I was like, I don't know why that conversation was so engaging, because I'm kind of at the same place before the video as I am at the end of it, but I'm also not, because I've seen your process. And so obviously that is what a vlog style content is. And that's what I love about your stuff. So obviously there's a massive market for vlog style content for real estate agents. And I think that not a lot of agents are actually tapping into that, but you have done it so well. And you may even be one of the first to have done that. Why do you think that there is such a market for this vlog style content for realtors?
I think people, I appreciate all the kind things you have said. So thanks for having me on your show as well. But to answer your question, I think realtors want to see, not even necessarily realtors, I think the public wants to see what goes on behind the scenes. I think they want to understand, and I think a lot of the agents can relate to what goes on. And I think what I've been doing is just documenting it. We don't cookie cut, we don't plan for anything. It's kind of what you see is what you get. And I think it's the realness of it. Sometimes I've heard stories of individuals that are like kind of creating a scene, creating the footage. And I don't want it to be fake. I want it to be legit and real. And I think that's maybe what draws, our clients to watch, our subscribers to watch, our followers to watch, because it's legit. It's rough, it's raw. Sometimes you don't always get the deal. Sometimes I don't get the listing. And you see it firsthand when you don't get the listing, when you do get the listing, when you get the deal closed, when there's hiccups to that deal. So you see it all. And I think that's what draws the attention of the followers out there.
Do you think that the same formula, I guess, for lack of a better word, that you've started implementing, just the rawness, the realness, and regardless of if it's a mind-blowing transaction, it's just, this is what's going on. Do you think that the response would be the same in any industry? Like if an accountant did this, do you think it would take off the same, and why or why not?
I don't, an accountant, I'm not sure. It depends on who the accountant's clients are. But I think it all depends on the clientele that I'm dealing with. I mean, if my clientele were, older demographic, everything was done over the phone, not in person. And it was very, it has a lot to do with, I think, my office setting, the individuals that work with me, my assistant, my team members. I think it's the price points. I think it's the fact that I document everything. I don't keep certain things, under wraps. Everything you see is what you get. And I think that's what makes it interesting. If an accountant's out there that, has clients that, presses buttons and, every day you don't know what you're going to get, then maybe, yeah, it would be interesting. But I think that's what kind of separates us from other, individuals in this industry, because what you see is what you get. And obviously I don't want to make up content. I want everything that you see to be legit, whether it's something as easy as me following up with a phone call, or having an issue with an appraised value, or having to explain to my client we have to extend settlement for a couple of days because of a ball that was dropped by a lender. That all needs to be documented so they can see exactly what goes on behind the scenes. And I think that's what's interesting.
Yeah. I was actually doing some thinking about that also. And I think that one of the biggest obstacles, obviously, that agents have to overcome is, why do I need an agent? Right? Like, I could just sell at my house, especially when the market's hot. Like, houses are basically selling themselves. So what do I need an agent for? And I think it's kind of the age-old question that real estate agents are always facing, is how do you demonstrate value? Meaning, okay, if somebody knows that they want to use an agent, perhaps it's even a little bit easier to say, this is why you should work with me instead of another agent. But the question is really like, do I really need an agent? And I think seeing the conversations and the back and forth and the knowledge that you have and the way that that knowledge is able to translate into money into your client's pocket, I think that's eye-opening for people.
I think, showing the consumer out there what goes on behind the scenes definitely makes them understand the value of hiring a realtor. Now, again, some deals are very easy. And like, what did I just pay this guy for? Put the house in the market, a day later it's sold. What's so hard about doing that? But the easy deals are very easy to kind of come by and say, this is a very easy business. But the deals that you have to explain to your clients that the house is appraised, and there's an inspection issue, lending issue, financing issue, that's where I think that's what separates our job from being easy to having a lot of pitfalls that you have to learn how to overcome.
So, as I mentioned earlier, you're number one team right now in Pennsylvania,
Yes,
and that is a hell of an achievement.
Thank you.
Before you started making videos, what did your business look like, and how has it transformed since you started making videos?
So our business, I've been doing this 2 years. So my business, started during the boom era, like back in the early 2000s, where the market was picking up. So I got into the business, luckily, at a time where things were just moving off the shelves. Then the market tanked in 07, 08, and that's when I started thinking, how do I continue in this industry? My twins were just born. What do I need to do to kind of circumvent this market that looks like it's crashing, which it did. So I kind of went all in. I started advertising and marketing more and using Facebook and social media. And back then, there was no videos. It was pictures. It was me showing a property, posting a picture. It was me posting motivational quotes, videos, pictures. Very little videos were involved. I didn't go live. I didn't show any type of videos whatsoever. It was just more about, doing marketing that nobody else was doing. I invested into billboards back in 2013, 2014. And that's when I think I started seeing more of an advantage. I hired an assistant. And I started kind of doing the things to give me more time to do what I do best, which is sell. And that's what I focused on. So fortunately, we were very successful, through the years. There was obviously some, down times when the market changed a bit, but that's when we started investing more time, money, and effort into marketing. And I feel being in front of people's faces and your clients' faces, whether it's on social media or farming, postcards, even cold calling, you need to continue to stay in their faces, and that's what we've achieved. But then I have a friend of mine that's started vlogging maybe 4 or 5 years ago. He started doing pictures and whatnot on Instagram and on Facebook, but he was doing more videos. And all of a sudden, he started having this camera crew. He was following people around with this camera and documenting everything on video maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Then he started a YouTube channel, and then he started, getting more and more followers on Instagram. So he was teaching me the ropes of what to do. And I started mimicking him, but I don't think I really did it correctly. And I still don't think I do it correctly until maybe a year ago. I had a video company called Video City that was doing all my videos, but it was basically maybe once a month, once every 6 weeks. So it was hard to get consistent with that video coverage and putting it on social media because, consistency is key. And I think that's what started driving our business into the position that's at today. It's one thing to do a video and post it once a month. It's a different story to have a video posted every single day. And what we're doing now is we have 2 videos hitting every morning and every evening. And then we try to do at least one long video every 2 weeks. And that's what I think has helped us stay in people's faces, accumulate the followers, subscribers we have on social media. But I think the main component of what we have done correctly, and that's consistency. I think you do anything consistent, you're going to reap the benefits.
Right. So even though I guess for all intents and purposes, videos have been fairly recent, I guess you've always had this desire and I guess strategy to always just push the envelope and try to just get in front of as many people as possible by any means necessary.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of realtors out there. So why should they use you? Why should they not use the other one or their neighbor or their friend of the family? I think, you need to establish a presence, and you need to establish that you know what you're doing. And I think the only way to do so is to, be in people's faces. Whether it's posting on a regular basis, even members of my team, I try to explain to them, you guys need to be consistent. Just because I post and tag you doesn't mean that you're going to get the same benefit out of it. So they're counting on me to post, or, when they post every so often, they need to post every day, at least twice a day, if not 3 times a day. And you need to do it consistently. You can't do it for a week and then stop. You need to do, I think I've been posting consistently on social media at least for 10, 15 years now. No bullshit, excuse my French. I think I've literally have been consistent to the point that whether it's a picture, a video, a motivational quote, or these now videos or shorts that we're posting twice, even 3 times a day sometimes, that's what separates us. I think people they want to see. If they don't see you, they don't know if you're doing business, they don't know what you're doing, and they're going to forget about you. But if you stay in their face and you stay relevant on their feed or whatever the case is, that's when they're going to say, okay, when I sell my house, when I want to buy a house, that's the dude I want to use.
So just to get this straight, between, I guess, regular posts and reels, you're posting about 2 to 4 pieces of content per day. And then every other week also you're doing a long form video for YouTube?
Yes, sir.
And then are you repurposing the YouTube video as well?
We're repurposing it sometimes for, short reels.
Yep.
And then we might use it down the road for something else. Like, we have a lot of content, it's hard to catch everything. So What we do is we keep tabs on it. We might use it for something else. I hosted a golf outing yesterday with a friend of mine who had his camera crew. I had my camera crew, and, he's putting together Mayank, our videographer, who's amazing. He's putting together a video right now. And then Roman's crew is they're going to put together their video. We're probably going to consolidate and do a video together. So, you can never have too much content, I think.
Yeah.
You probably don't use a lot of it because some of it's worthless, but you're not going to have any valuable content unless you shoot it. And then the editor will decide whether it's relevant to be used or to be, used at a later date. So
I guess just in terms of the process that you have for the long form content, when you repurpose that, do you have an editor manually doing that, or are you using like an AI like Opus to automatically clip it?
No, actually, Mayank he's shooting the coverage, all the content, and then we're trying to get into a schedule where, like, 3-4 days a week he's going to shoot, and then 1 day or maybe 2 days a week he's just editing, and he's making the reels and he's making the long-term content out of that. Down the road, maybe we'll have just a strict editor that we can kind of give our footage to, but I think there's value to having Mayank shoot the video, and when he edits it, he knows how to edit it based on him being there. So he saw what transpired, how to cut it the right way. I feel if he's going to shoot the video, then give it to a separate editor that was not there, he might get the gist of what transpired, but I think him being there, he'll be able to cut it properly and not have to ask questions after the fact.
It's great you said that, actually, because I noticed, I was watching one of your videos earlier today before the episode, and there was you were going through a new build, and you were walking through and you said, here's where the kitchen will be, there's a living space, and they showed almost like a panoramic view of each room that you were talking about, and it didn't look like the room that it was going to be. And that's the kind of thing, as I was thinking, that like that's a really tough thing to outsource, because you can't walk through a house just plain and say, okay, fine, just clip this up, because it didn't look like a living room until until you told me that it was a living room. So those are the kinds of things that I guess having somebody there is going to make much better content. Even if I guess the barrier of entry is going to be a lot higher for some people. Like, let's say if I'm starting out, likely I don't have the money to just hire somebody to follow me around. However, obviously in an ideal world, that's where I might want to get to. And I think the challenge that people have is, and I want to get into this with you probably in about 10 minutes or whatever. The challenge that people have is they want to come out perfect, right? They want to start out of the gate absolutely excellent. And it doesn't work like that with anything. Right, so the example I give is it's like if you're playing basketball, let's say you want to learn how to play basketball, and then you say, well, we'll go maybe another time to start shooting around because my shooting sleeve is coming in the mail, and like I need to get a new pair of shoes because these ones are already like a year old. Like, just get a ball and go and shoot. It doesn't matter if the rim is 9'6". You just go. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you don't need a camera crew. Like I was posting all my stories and videos from my phone all this time, and I still do. I might be sitting at a settlement. I'm going to be right now. I'm sitting here and I'm videotaping us talking. My uncle's not here. I mean, he has the camera pointed over here, and I'm sure some of the content he can use. But ultimately, I'm going to be posting my own content. I do have personal time too when I'm with my family, and I'll post what I want to post. And I have that content. And if I am in Florida showing a property and my uncle's not with me, I'm going to send him the footage, and he can put it together into a short 10, 15-second reel. So I mean, our phones nowadays are totally different than what they were 10, 15 years ago. So the quality is amazing. And the social media that we have now is a whole different ballgame than when it was just Facebook. There was just Facebook back then. And that was all I was doing. Now we're doing Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. So there's so many different facets of it.
So what does your internal process look like? Like logistically speaking, what does your day look like, and how are you getting all these videos out? Just so that I guess if someone's listening to this and they want to put together their own SOP, what does your process look like?
Honestly, there is really no SOP to what we do. I slowly, originally we were going to try to, film 2-3 days a week and just, have a game plan of what we're filming. But every day varies. So today I had a meeting in the morning with a listing that I received in Richboro, not too far from us. And I have it's a building. And I brought a couple guys that are in the restaurant industry there because I think it would be a good fit for them to put a restaurant. So that was a kind of impromptu meeting. Then we have our, meeting today. I have a listing of women today at 2:30. So every day is different. Tomorrow we're doing a little bit of a charity video shoot with our, team members, and we're going to videotape that and try to do something to give back to a homeless shelter nearby. So every day varies. I wish I had content that I knew what I was going to shoot every day. And that's what I think kind of makes things so interesting and so believable, because they're true. Everything you see is like happening as it goes. Like when I pick up my uncle in the morning, he's like, what do we got today? I'm like, well, this is what's going on. This is what happened last night. I'm going to list this property today. Let's go. And literally he's as, surprised to see what we're going to see as I am. It's what you see is what you get. Like there's no planning to what the event holds. Granted, if I have a listing coming up next Tuesday and I need to get the listing contract together, I got to do some comp analysis, this, that, and the other, then there's a whole process to it. But every day is a different journey. So, and I think that's what makes our channel, I think, more fun to watch, because you don't know what you're going to get. And I think that goes for the shooter as well, because when we go look at stuff, he has the same kind of like surprise on his face that I do, because it's something that we're not expecting.
So he's actually, you said you pick him up. So he's actually following you around all day with a camera, and then he'll just kind of take all of that footage and break it up as he sees fit.
Correct. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's like Gary Vaynerchuk says, don't create content, document. And that's also what we're doing right now. Like one of the reasons I love podcasts is it just makes the job of consistent, great content so much easier, because I'm not even making this content. Basically, you're making this content. We're coming here, I'm asking you for your insights, and then I'm just going to send it to my editor. He's going to break it up. And it's like, there's so much in here.
Yeah. And listen, it might not work. What I do might not work for somebody else, because, it just be different. It's something they can't be consistent with. Like I'm a very regimented person. I went to military school. I, have definitely kind of not to drop the ball, but I've come a little bit more complacent through the years in regard to my regimen. I used to get up at 5 a.m. Now I get up around 6. I'm giving myself more time to kind of maneuver, but I need to have some sort of a regimented style in order for my business to flow. So, we make sure we get at least 2 shorts a day. We get videos once a week. We have something. Everything is simple. Something as simple as me sitting in the office talking to my assistant. There's a lot of like banter and raw footage that comes in from there and sometimes educational videos that kind of just come from nothing. Like all of a sudden we might be driving and Mike might say, what's the escrow money deposit? What does that mean? Or what is a short sale? And I'm like, oh, that's a good educational reel. Let's shoot it. And all of a sudden I have a 30-second discussion about what a short sale is, when most people don't know what a short sale is. So we're kind of educating people and creating content simultaneously.
Right. So is there I guess any point in time, I know you mentioned if there's like, let's say a listing appointment or whatever, and you kind of sometimes do plan ahead in that sense. Is there any kind of ideation process for any of your content, or is it all just documentation? Like, do you ever say we need to do these 2 videos this week other than listing appointments, or is it all just
No,
authentic?
we do. We have a weekly meeting with the video company that was doing my videos before. His name is John. He is our consultant now. So we have a weekly meeting with him every Monday for an hour that we discuss what we have going on. So my aunt will go and say, listen, we have this to shoot this week, this to shoot this week, we have this going on, this going on. What are some ideas that we have going on? You know, anything that you think we should document, and we kind of brainstorm. And these brainstorming sessions turn into different plans for the future. Sometimes, you know, everything's kind of impromptu, but when we have these brainstorming sessions, we're like, oh, this is a good idea. We should shoot this. We do an unboxing video. Oh, that's a good idea. Maybe we should do an educational video based on this. You know, we have these brainstorm sessions as well, but for the most part, it's all kind of impromptu, and what that day brings is what we shoot.
So I feel like when a lot of people make videos and it doesn't really work out for them, let's say, quote unquote, doesn't really work out, meaning, again, they did it for a week and they didn't really get very much traction. And then they kind of try to stay consistent with it, but it becomes really difficult. I'd imagine. I know that the process becomes easier once you start to see that traction, but it takes time to get that. So what do you recommend, I suppose, for people who don't really have very many views and therefore don't have that external validation, for lack of a better word, that it is working? What do you suggest to them in terms of, like, should they keep going? How do you know when it's working, and how do you cope with that?
Honestly, I think you need to start by, you have to get consistency. Say at 7 o'clock every morning, I'm going to have a video, whether it's me talking about what I have going on that day, and then another video at the end of the day of what your day consisted of, what you did. And throughout the day, maybe a couple stories, post a couple of showings of whatever you're doing. I mean, people want to, in order for people to, think you're relevant, I guess, in their space that they're interested in, they need to see you. So if they're not seeing you on a consistent basis, you're just going to be another fly-by-night realtor, attorney, accountant, whatever the case is. But if you're like, people are accustomed to seeing in the morning and the evening, and maybe they'll see that same post throughout the day, that shows validation of what you're doing. Yesterday we had that golf outing, and a buddy of mine, a close friend of mine, said, "Oh, it's funny, your name came up. My buddy lives in Naples, Florida, and he mentioned, yeah, this guy, this realtor I've been following, from Philly." And right away, my buddy Jay is like, "Joe Bograd?" He's like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" He's like, "That's a close friend of mine." So somehow, some way, these videos are trickling across the social media space to Naples, Florida. Whether somehow, some way, one of my videos from Florida that I was posting got in front of somebody, I have no idea. Honestly, sometimes these algorithms, to me, there is no rhyme or reason why some videos get more traction than others, but it's obviously working. It's taking some time. It's taking months. It's going to be almost a year that we've been doing this consistently, and we're finally seeing the highlights of it. It's obviously starting to work. So now that I see that it's working, I'm going to go even further into it. I'm going to continue to do more and more and more, and be more consistent with it. So, it's discouraging. You don't see anything right away, but you stick with it. Eventually, it will come together.
Right. So I guess as a final question before we do the rapid fire, why do you think so many people do struggle to get started with videos, and what would tell them to help them initially overcome that struggle?
I think number one, it's probably budget. Hiring somebody, it's not cheap, and it's an expense that I've been incurring. Initially, I was very hesitant, and I spent a lot of money on this video company that was coming out once a month and doing these videos, and I wasn't sure what I was getting out of it. It was kind of staged, I felt, and it was not original. It wasn't genuine. It wasn't organic. So I kind of said, listen, maybe I just gotta have somebody start following me, or maybe I should start documenting my own footage. And I started just kind of doing my own videos. So I think you can start by doing your own videos, being consistent with it, post the video in the morning and in the evening. It's not going to cost you anything. And just not a day in the life, but, wake up in the morning, I go to the gym, and let's go for a showing. Let's do a preview, create content. And you have to create different ideas. Like this house in Richboro that just got the listing, nobody's seen it yet. It's never in the market. Let's do a walkthrough. Let's do a preview. Let's do like a quick 45-second walkthrough of the property, and then post that. Put it to music. Post that evening. You know what I mean? you have to, look at other realtors are doing online, mimic them. I mean, listen, you look at these guys from like $1 Million Listing, all these guys, like this is what people want to see. They want to see these lavish homes. If you want to just do walkthroughs, maybe that's what you have to do. If it's, you go cold calling. There's one realtor that I follow on Instagram. I forgot the guy's name. I think it's Nick or Rick. But he basically every morning he does a cold call section and he videotapes him cold calling a list of potential, expires and withdrawn listings in his demographic. And I've watched him before. It's interesting how he tries to get the listing. Create some sort of a niche that differentiates you from somebody else. And once you do that and be consistent with it, the rest is history.
Yeah. Actually got me thinking there, if hypothetically, if you were like a real estate coach and you specialize in helping people with scripts and sales and stuff, there's no better content than you could have other than setting up a camera, showing yourself making phone calls every single day and showing that the scripts that you devise work. Yeah. It's so multifaceted. So it's like, you don't want to pay me? Okay, just watch my process. And when you see that I'm an animal at this and you see that I'm good at this, like you'll have no choice but to join my program if you want my level of success.
Yeah, I've had realtors reach out to me. Do you do mentorship? And honestly, I don't have the time to do it. But I've actually, anytime somebody has called me or texted me or DM'd me, I've responded to them. One young guy, his name is Carlos. He reached out to me on Instagram. He just actually hung his license with me in Jersey. And another young lady, her and her associate in Florida, they're actually joining my team in Southern Florida. All from social media. I mean, I don't want to sit there mentor and babysit, but I want to definitely grow with them and they can help me while they're in Florida and I can help them with the marketing. So, there's ways to help each other. You just have to invest the time and be consistent with it.
Right. All right, Joe, I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions. The idea is try to answer as quickly as you can. However, if you want to take a second to think about it, I'm not going to go crazy about it.
Okay.
Start with an easy one. Of the 3 markets that you currently work in, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Florida, which is your favorite market and why?
Pennsylvania, because this is where I started. I know the market better than, those other 2 markets, but definitely trying to learn the markets in Jersey and especially Florida, because that's where I want to be spending more of my time down the road.
Gotcha. Okay, and which book has had the most impact on you and your business?
Oh, wow. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
What are you? I'm actually curious about that one because you I'm sure you work with investors, but your profile is mostly like luxury, right?
Right.
So I guess I was expecting like a personal development. I thought it was going to be like Think and Grow Rich or something like that.
No, you know what it is that I'm an investor as well. Like I own investment properties all over Philly and in Bucks County as well. And I feel like if you read that book, you want to have your rental income pay your everyday expenses. And I learned a lot from that book.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if you want to get into real estate investing, I think it's a good book to, get your foot in the door.
Well, I think I don't want to say surprise, but I think the question that I have is your investing is almost like a side hustle, let's call it, as it were. I mean, maybe it doesn't sound like it is, because if it were a side hustle, quote unquote, then it wouldn't have been the most influential book. But because it's had the biggest impact on your business, I guess what I was a little bit surprised by is that the book on investing, which is kind of the side passive income, is the most influential. Like, would you therefore then say that the investing is the more quintessential cash flow for you than the actual real estate transacting?
Well, when you have your investments pay for you every day, that's when I think that you can be a little more comfortable. You have to start one property, and you have to read the book to get the whole gist of it. But
yeah,
I think there is definitely value. I think people build wealth owning real estate. It's great to sell real estate, and you can make a living selling real estate, and you can make a better living selling expensive real estate. But I think you can build wealth by owning real estate. And I think that's where you need to, focus your attention, especially if you're in the industry. This way you have every facet of the business, especially owning a piece of real estate, collecting rent, managing it. That brings a whole different, facet to the real estate industry.
What are you scared of?
Scared of? What am I scared of? The current affairs in the world.
Yeah,
that's what I'm scared of right now.
Seen you posting about that. Also, we had a moment before we went live. But what excites you?
when my team and I, are busy and listing homes and selling homes and the deal, the negotiations. I love the whole industry. I like the whole, when I get that call from a listing from a seller saying, "Oh, I want to list my property," and I go to get that listing, I like that whole process. Getting a listing excites me,
Yeah.
and selling it even more so. But getting the listing, getting the call, I heard about you. I want to sell my house, Joe. Can you come on by? And I'm there within a moments.
Yeah. Like that validation never really gets old,
No,
Like
no, no.
every
Yeah,
time someone says like, "I love your content," or every time someone says to me like how do this is also my favorite compliment is when people say like, "How do more people not know about you?" Like that's like the greatest compliment you could give me because it's like I gotta just keep on going like that.
of
It kind of
course.
reminds me, it's like keep going, man. Like
That's
they're
it.
gonna
That's
learn.
consistent, man.
If you weren't in real estate, what would you be doing?
Whew. I'd be either in the watch industry because I love watches, or most likely the car industry. I'd probably sell cars because I love cars. I'd probably be in definitely something in sales, but something with luxury cars or luxury
Yeah.
watches. Yeah.
Well, let me digress then. This one wasn't on the list, but I'll ask it anyway. If you could have one car for free given to you, which one would it be?
Oh, for free. Oh, probably the Phantom, Rolls Royce Phantom.
Yeah, that's a that's a nice
Yeah.
choice. I don't think you could go wrong there.
No.
Okay, this is the biggest one, I think. What is the biggest mistake that you've ever made that you'd feel comfortable sharing with us?
I got kicked out of public school, and I went to military school. I was making some stupid choices with some, friends when you're 12, 13 years old, making not the right choices. Nothing bad, but I saw, I was on the wrong path, and I was kicked out of school. And my parents sent me to military school, and it was the best thing that happened to me. The people that I met, the school, the atmosphere, it was really it was a blessing. But that was a bad time for me when I got kicked out of school. I didn't know what was going to be of Joe Bograd. So
Yeah.
it all worked out, thank God.
Well, so the next question was, how did you recover from that? But you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I guess maybe if you could elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah, I went to Valley Forge Military Academy, which is a military school outside of Bucks County, maybe 40 minutes from my house. I was living there for the 5 years that I was there, and it was a definitely an awakening. They break you down. Had to speak in third person. Didn't see my family for a couple months. They literally you were noted as a plebe, which is the lowest of the low back during Greek times, and they break you down, they build you back up, and it definitely showed me how to be more regimented, how to put my get me to be where I'm at today. I start making the right decisions and hanging out with the right people and getting into the business that my dad brought me into. So it definitely helped me grow and achieve what I've achieved today.
Okay, and finally, what is next for Joe Bograd?
What is next for Joe Bograd? I want us to be number one in the country as a real estate team. I want us to continue to grow as a team. I want us, just to be the name that people think of when it comes to real estate in PA, Jersey, and Southern Florida.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Joe, for your time. Honestly, it's been super enlightening, and I've learned an absolute ton, and I've been following you and I guess hearing the back end, how things actually work and what the back process looks like. It's been really awesome. Anybody listening to this wants to find you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
You can call me on my cell phone, 267-246-9729, my website, josephbograd.com, Instagram, The Bograd Experience, or Joe Bograd on YouTube. So if you want to find me, you can definitely find me.